If you're a returning viewer or you stumbled upon this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Hi, I'm Chine and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about Zernell Gillie fragrances. If you didn't know, Zernell Gillie is a DJ turned perfumer who started exploring fragrances during the pandemic in 2020. The motto of his perfume brand is music is life, so he makes fragrances that encapsulate the essence of different genres of music. I believe they have 6 fragrances. I have smelled all 6 and I own 5 in my collection. If you're looking to explore the house of Zernell Gillie, Ministry of Scent based in San Francisco carry samples of their fragrances, and the samples are only $5 a piece. Zernell Gillie also sells travel sizes and a travel set. This travel set has 3 10 ml fragrances and it's $120. The full size bottle of Zernell Gillie fragrances are about $135, but they are only 30 ml bottles. And I know that it's a little bit pricey, but the fragrances are extrate, so they actually last a long time. Personally, I go a little bit nose blind to them. I don't really smell them after like 4 hours, but I constantly get compliments on the fragrances at the end of a long day at work. So that means that other people are definitely able to smell them even though I might not be able to smell them. So let's get into it. Starting off with the latest fragrance in their collection, this is R&B and this one is a guava tropical fragrance. I love the opening of this fragrance. If you are looking for a juicy, tart, sour, juicy guava, the opening of this fragrance delivers on that. However, there's something in the background of this fragrance that I personally don't love, and it becomes very emphasized and like exaggerated on my skin. On paper, I don't mind this fragrance. I really like it, but when it comes in contact with my skin, something goes awry. I don't know, I think it's a papaya note. I feel like papaya and my skin might not go very well together, and maybe it comes off a little bit like spoiled. But I like R&B so much that I got a travel size and I am committed to only spraying it on my clothes so that I can still enjoy the fragrance. R&B has notes of tangerine, guava, papaya, opoponox, honey, and white chocolate. And I think that this fragrance truly nails the essence of R&B. It's sultry, it's a little bit bright, it's giving like summertime fling. That is the vibe of R&B by Zernell Gillie. A lot of the guava fragrances that are on the market right now do not truly smell like the guava fruit. They smell like guava water, guava sugar, etc. But this truly smells like guava. So if you're on the hunt for a true guava fragrance, I cannot recommend R&B enough. And next is Disco. Disco is for the citrus aromatic tea lovers that also like a little bit of darkness from like a myrrh or patchouli. If you're someone that considers yourself to be a patchouli hater, but you are being open-minded and you want to explore patchouli more, I think this is a great one to try. Also, if you're someone that is skeptical about tea fragrances, you think tea fragrances smell very earthy, very grassy, very dirty, I think Disco is a great fragrance to try that might change your mind. Disco has notes of tea, bergamot, saffron, vanilla, tobacco, lavender, myrrh, and patchouli. And I know that the notes of this fragrance are a lot, but I promise you it is so well blended. Honestly, Disco is my favorite fragrance from the entire collection. The other ones are close seconds, but this one is my number one. Mostly because I thought it was very unique. I love the way that it combines citrus and aromatic with like a darker fragrance. If you're someone that likes tea fragrances, but you also like fragrances like Rock the Myrrh by Dries Van Noten, I think you're going to really enjoy this one. Everything is so perfectly blended and this fragrance feels alive. It feels invigorating. And if you had to ask me, that is the vibe of disco music. 2 notes that I was really nervous about in Disco are the myrrh and the lavender. Lavender is like, I don't really know. But honestly, the lavender in Disco isn't very detectable. If you didn't tell me that there was lavender in the notes, I wouldn't know. Also, myrrh is very tricky for a lot of people because it can go very earthy, very almost like dirty. And combined with the patchouli, I know some people are like, you know what, never mind. But I promise you, if you're a fan of darker, more sultry fragrances, I think this is worth getting your nose on. It is able to be a bright, aromatic, airy kind of fragrance, but still have that dark, sultry kind of underbelly. If we have the same taste in perfumes, this is your girl. I don't know if I mentioned, but Disco is clearly my favorite from the collection. Next, we have Techno, and honestly, I think this one is my least favorite. Not because it isn't good, but I don't know, it's a lot of different things going on in this fragrance. One thing I have to say is that Zernell Gillie knows his way around a saffron note. So if you're someone that enjoys that air of saffron in your fragrance to add a little bit of touch of luxury, I think Zernell Gillie is definitely a house you should explore. Also, maybe I'm showing my age here, but I'm also not very familiar with techno music, so I can't really make the connection. Someone on Fragrantica said that this perfume smells like muddling through a crowd of like sweaty bodies and everybody is dancing and like out of their minds. And I can see why the person would say that. This fragrance has a very prominent leather note. So if you're someone that isn't a fan of leather, you don't like leather stroke suede, I don't think you are going to enjoy this. Techno is able to be sweet and also skanky at the same time. I definitely get the red berries on the first spray of this fragrance. And as the fragrance kind of wears, I start to get a lot more of the patchouli. If you're someone that isn't a patchouli and leather lover, I don't think you're going to enjoy this one. Out of all the fragrances in the collection, I think Techno is the most polarizing and the one that packs the most of a punch. Techno has notes of red fruit, patchouli, saffron, rose, leather, incense, lavender, amber, and tonka bean. Techno is a perfect contrast between sweet sweet, leather, and a little bit skanky. I think the combination of the sweet notes like the tonka and the red berries against the backdrop of like a smoky, incensey leather with the patchouli just gives mingling in the club with hot bodies. The feminine sweet fragrances are in the air, the masculine earthy dirty kind of fragrances are in the air, combined like everybody's body heat and warmth. That is the vibe of this fragrance. I don't know if that made it sound less appealing, but I'm sure that the right person is going to get what I mean. Next up is House, and this one is a lot of people's favorites. I am in the middle of moving, so I don't really know where my bottle of House is, but this one is a close second for me. I know that fruity notes combined with oud is not new. People have done cherry and oud, they've done mango with oud, they've done passion fruit with oud. Bless your soul, because oud maracuja is something else. Raspberry and oud is a combination I have not seen, and Zernell Gillie did that. Raspberry and oud is such a bold combination. You're able to get the sweetness, the femininity, the girliness from a sweet, fruity kind of vibe, and then get the depth and intrigue and like the sexiness from an oud fragrance. House has notes of tonka bean, raspberry, sandalwood, orange, saffron, oud, ambret, and heliotrope. One thing I have to tell you about the Zernell Gillie fragrances is that everything is so perfectly blended. This isn't French style perfumery where you get like top notes, middle notes, and base notes. Nothing like that is listed on Fragrantica. When you smell the fragrances, you get everything all at once, and then as the fragrance wears, more notes become more pronounced. And I really like that. I like the fact that the fragrances aren't linear, but you start to get more facets of them as its fragrance wears. House is such a crowd pleaser and a compliment getter. During lunch at like 1 p.m, the lady at the cafeteria complimented me while I was checking out. And then I got in my Uber at 6 p.m. and the first thing the lady in the Uber said to me is, "Oh my God, you smell divine. What are you wearing?" It had literally been at this point 10 hours after I had put on the fragrance. Personally, I couldn't smell it, but clearly she could smell it clear as day because that was the first thing she said to me when I got in her car. House is flirtatious, it's fun, it's sexy, it's dark. If you are looking for like a femme fatale, almost like man-eater kind of fragrance, House is the fragrance for you. It's very versatile. If you're someone that enjoys more feminine, pretty and pink fragrances, but you're trying to dip your toes into the world of like darker femme fatale fragrances, get your nose on House. Next up is Jazz, and I feel like Jazz is overlooked by a lot of people because when they hear a fragrance called Jazz, they are expecting like Angel Share, and everybody is tired of Angel Share. A lot of the fragrances like Jazz Club, By the Fireplace, I feel like they focus more on like the leather or like the cocktails being served. This fragrance focuses more on like the polished mahogany tables in a very high-class jazz establishment. When I smell Jazz, I think of two hot people on a date. They are in a booth. The booth has this like red upholstered leather kind of seats. They are very cozy together, and there's like a very dim light on their table. It is a little bit sweet from the mandarin orange and the cacao, but at its core, this fragrance is a woody kind of warm, spicy fragrance. It's a little bit sweet from the mandarin orange and the cacao, but at its core, this is a woody, ambery, a little bit honeyed fragrance. The honey in this fragrance doesn't come off to me as animalic, and it's also not a very syrupy honey. If you're someone that has been curious about the note of honey and you tried fragrances like tobacco honey and they didn't work for you, I think you're going to really enjoy this. This is sweet, it's woody, it's ambery. Jazz is severely underrated from the entire Zernell Gillie line. Jazz has notes of mahogany, honey, white moss, opoponox, vanilla, cacao, tobacco, and mandarin. It also has an ambergris note, and I know ambergris is a tricky note for a lot of people. It can go very like animalic and a little bit skanky on your skin. I don't get that with this one. Honestly, this isn't a salty fragrance. I wouldn't describe this as a very salty, ambergris heavy fragrance. Last but not least is Hip Hop. Hip Hop is a fragrance that I was not expecting to be very creamy. When I hear a perfume that is supposed to be inspired by hip hop, I'm not expecting something creamy and like bordering on gourmand. Hip Hop has notes of blackcurrant, dark chocolate, saffron, labdanum, white musk, cacao, and green notes. Honestly, I don't really get any of the green notes. There is nothing green about Hip Hop to me. I would say that the greenness in Hip Hop kind of comes off as like orange blossom. So if you're someone that enjoys orange blossom in fragrances, even though orange blossom is not listed as a note, I think you are going to really enjoy Hip Hop. Dark chocolate and cacao in this fragrance don't come off as very chocolatey and very in your face and very rich. It comes off almost like a hazelnut kind of vibe. So think a lighter dusting of cacao or like a hazelnut creamy kind of vibe. I am also surprised that Hip Hop doesn't have a sandalwood note because that fragrance is insanely creamy. Maybe it's a Hideon. I don't know what Hideon is, but maybe Hideon adds a creamy facet to fragrances. It's a little bit boozy, but not in a someone spilled a drink on you kind of way. It's also a little bit fruity. You get the blackcurrant, and a lot of people say that the blackcurrant kind of smells like pear. I'm so sorry, I can't get over the creaminess in Hip Hop. This fragrance smells like creamy from the hazelnut and like the orange blossom to add a little bit of like sweetness, and then obviously like the blackcurrant or like pear depending on what you get. This fragrance is tethering the unisex line. It is neither feminine nor masculine, even though it's able to have a tiny touch of like a gourmand creamy vibe. So yeah, if I had to rank the fragrances from Zernell Gillie, number 1 goes to disco, number 2 goes to house, number 3 goes to hip hop. I guess number 4 goes to jazz, number 5 is techno, and number 6 is R&B. I don't think I missed anyone. So yeah, there's a reason why when you search Zernell Gillie on TikTok, so many people have good things to say. It is because the fragrances are so intentional, so well thought out, such unique offerings, and they genuinely smell so good. I would love to know in the comments which of the fragrances from Zernell Gillie sound the most like your vibe. So let me know if you've tried any fragrances from Zernell Gillie, which of them are your favorites, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video.